giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We are streaming live on YouTube, and of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! It's Monday of draft week. Boy, oh boy, pencils down, books closed. You got teams finalizing their boards. You got teams ranking their players. And we're going to hear this sweet sound. Couple more days, man. A couple more days. But before that, I do want to talk about 4 players whose roles should be changing heading into the 2024 season. Possibly a couple of them might not be here at all. So we're going to take a look at that. Some roles should be shifting. Some roles should be changing. Some guys may not even be around. So I kind of want to take it's not really a break. It's just a pause in all the draft talk because it's not exhausting. It's been something we've focused on ad nauseum. And I get it. It's draft week. Trust and believe me. It's only going to go into overtime once you draft a said player. It's going to go overtime on Thursday. By the way, another teaser. Me, Vach, and Foots will be live on Thursday covering round 1 of the draft. So we'll take a quick little pause and we'll go back through the Cowboys roster. We'll comb through this roster and take a look at some players who draft be damned, right? Their roles are in jeopardy or in question, whatever you want to call it, and should be changing. So let's talk about it, man. What's good with you, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
Feeling good. It's draft week, man. I'm feeling fantastic. I'm ready for this thing. Honestly, I've actually went harder this year on the draft than before, and I could go even harder. But I can only imagine if you're somebody who, studies 300 players. I mean, y'all got to be ready to get this thing over with. I haven't even studied 300 players, and I'm ready to get this thing over with. I love when the Cowboys take their players, and then we can go into overtime and overdrive on said players. So I'm ready for that. But I wanted to take a pause today, just a quick little pause today, so we can talk about more of the Cowboys' current roster. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and hit this roundup. Oh, you can call into the show. I haven't talked to y'all in a while, it feels like, man. You can call into the show 351-999-3787. Probably won't do call-ins Wednesday. And Thursday morning probably won't be a show because we're doing the draft Thursday night. And then I'll be back Friday, and we'll definitely be talking Friday about what the Cowboys did in round 1. Speaking of which, in the roundup, I want to kind of touch on some things that I'm being told about the Cowboys draft approach, pre-draft approach, as it is draft week.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you!
You see the war room? We'll be in the war room all day Thursday, man. Cowboys pre-draft buzz from inside the Star. Some things that I'm hearing from this week. Number 1, they have a specific player in mind at 24. But if said player is not there, the Cowboys are, quote, aggressively pursuing a trade back. And honestly, they should be. We've discussed this forever. They don't have enough picks, man. They've only got 3 picks in the top 174 74 or 73 of the draft. Three top 100 picks. They did not make any moves to trade either players or picks from, future years to garner extra thirds or extra fourths or anything like that. And they didn't get enough comp picks or any comp picks in the third or fourth round. All their comp picks reside in the 5th and 6th round of this draft. So it sounds like they are aware that a draft that is deep at positions or deep enough at positions that they need, right? We're talking offensive line, running back. They need some of those wide receivers. They are probably looking at this thing like, hey, we need to accumulate more picks, specifically likely a 4th round pick because they don't have one. Would love an extra 3rd round pick, right? They know this. Can they wheel and deal? They've done it before. Micah Parsons went down a few picks, picked up a 3rd. They did it in 2013. Travis Frederick went from in the teens, was it? All the way down. I think it was 17, all the way down to 31 and picked up a 3rd. They probably should have got more than that. They don't do it often, but they have done it. Their biggest jump, I think, was back in 03-ish. That Julius Jones trade. They traded all the way out of the 1st round in general and picked up other picks, and it just didn't really work out that particular year. They could have took Steven Jackson. They didn't. The rest is history. So the Cowboys are aggressively pursuing a trade back, and that's exactly what they should be doing, unless there's a specific player on the board. Also, what I'm hearing, if they do stay, even if they don't stay in round 1, but if they do trade back, look for an offensive lineman as the likely option. Again, a lot of people don't like that. They want to take wide receiver or they want to take this and take that. It's just, you need multiple positions up front, and games are won and lost in the trenches more often than not. And I think the Cowboys completely understand that. And this has been a team that's put a premium at the position. Now, that's not to say you window dress your board, but from my understanding, their board is heavily favored towards linemen. And in this draft, it is a historically, I don't say top heavy, but it's a really deep draft in the top 50 for offensive linemen. I'd be shocked if you get to a certain point in the draft and an offensive lineman it either is not rated above a certain guy or tags are touching. And if tags are touching, you know how I feel. Now you have to go into your roster. I mentioned this, I believe, on the roundtable. By the way, absolute fire roundtable, the best that we've ever had, in my opinion. But if tags are touching, man, then the conversation gets tougher. If it's not, and you got a guy that's rated extremely high, this goes back to like the CeeDee Lamb situation, then your other positions of need, then I think you have to go with that. But the Cowboys, it sounds like they are valuing a lot of these offensive linemen pretty high here. And look, you need a center, you need a left tackle, or you need guard, depending on how they feel about Tyler. So I expect, or I shouldn't say I expect, hearing offensive line as a likely option. Third one. Some of y'all ain't gonna like this, but again, could be Lion season too. But expect to see a running back early this weekend. My guess, Jonathan Brooks in round 2. That's just my guess. Jonathan Cooper. Dr. Cooper did the surgery, and he just feels and just screams Dallas Cowboys 2nd round pick, man. It just feels like that. And if it's not going to be Jonathan Brooks, they brought in Trey Benson, they brought in Jalen Wright. Those are considered the consensus top 3 backs in this draft. So if they don't take a running back in the 2nd round, I expect them to take a running back in the 3rd round. But when I hear running back early, I think 2nd. Again, unless a specific player may be there as well. So those are some of the things I'm hearing heading into the draft. Cowboys have a specific player in mind, but they are aggressively pursuing a trade back. Offensive lineman seems like the option. Running back is expected to be taken early. And they do have a guy that they want. If he's not there, well, look for the Cowboys to hightail it out of there. Yeah, Jonathan Brooks, right? Cowboys Nation, that just feels like feels like the Cowboys' second-round pick. We've been talking about that for a long time. Screams Cowboys' second-round pick. So that's the latest surrounding Dallas pre-draft. I believe they will be having a pre-draft presser. They do it every year. They get up there and we'll get more nuggets, maybe. This is lying season, though. So maybe some of these things that we're being told maybe won't be true. But I do think there's some smoke to some of it, right? Offensive line. I think there's smoke to trading back. You could argue there's smoke to the running back thing, but man, if your board says elsewhere in round 2, I think they should go there. I just think that sweet spot's 3 to 5. Maybe you can get somebody in 6, but 3 to 5 is a sweet spot, man. That's where I would go with it. How are we feeling? Running backs went earlier than expected last year, says Jay. Do you think that will happen this year? I feel like 3 to 5, Jay. I feel like 3 to 5 is where it will pick up. Well, 3 where it will pick up. But Trey Benson, I think he'll be the first running back off the board if it's not Brooks. Like if it's not the Cowboys taking Brooks, and that could be second round, right? That could be second round. But I think that's where, look, second round technically for running back is where I think it's fine. I don't think anybody will go crazy about that. I think when you start talking about running backs in the first, you're talking about top 10-ish picks, and when you do that, you need to make sure your roster is set a specific way to be able to have that luxury to do that, in my opinion. Twan said, team running back draft Brooks or Allen. Yeah, I take Braylon. I mean, so many backs, man. So many backs. We discussed backs on Friday. I didn't even talk about like Marshawn Lloyd, one of my favorites in this draft class. I bring up Isaac Guerendo a lot. Audric Estime, if you get him on day 3, maybe the 4th round, 5th round type. I mean, there's so many backs. Just have a plan. I feel like the Cowboys have a plan. They will be fine when they select the right back. It's hard to fumble this thing with these backs. We talked about this on Roundtable. I like the depth of this class a lot better than last year. And last year, I thought there were a lot of backs you could have took to complement the room, and they didn't. So Dallas just got to do the obvious thing here. Got to do the obvious thing. Toxic said when they have a plan. That's the $64,000 question. When have they had a plan? I'll tell you this, though. It sounds like they got a plan for this gentleman right here. I don't know if it was a report. I don't know if it was just an article. But finally, some attention was made about the role of Marist Bell. We touched this immediately when Dan Quinn left. Marist Bell's going back to safety. Like there's no way the next defensive coordinator who comes in here is playing Marist Bell at linebacker. And that kind of got me going down a rabbit hole of potential role changes for the Cowboys, not just on defense, but on offense. And we get to that in a second. But I wanted to start with Marist Bell because he could see his role change the most drastic. All the snaps that he played at linebacker now going back to safety. So let's get into 4 of my players that could see a role shift in 2024, starting with Marist Bell. We talked about him being a linebacker, right? He was moved to linebacker in 2023 with 561 snaps in the box. I want to say it was solely due to injury, but if you go all the way back to his rookie year, Dan Quinn brought up how he looked at Marist Bell as a guy that could potentially play linebacker, which, if that's the case, why didn't you pack on more pounds? Nonetheless, once Dan got here, he reshaped how the Cowboys were going to utilize their safeties, right? Playing more 3 safety looks than anyone in the league. And it went beyond the whole big nickel thing. Big nickel is bringing the extra safety in. Yeah, he might be around the box, but he's going to do tight end things, cover backs out the backfield. Maybe you blitz them, help against the run, things like that. It went beyond that because you started to see these quote unquote big nickel safeties playing legitimate linebacker and playing middle linebacker. I mean, you just saw it too much. And Bell went beyond big nickel. In fact, he completely changed positions. This wasn't just, oh, Bell's doing the J-Ron Curse thing. Nah, man, they moved the linebacker because of, quote, injuries. Although I think they could have did a different move, but that's neither here nor there. And I'm not here to come at Marist Bell because he handled the responsibilities about as well as you can for a 205-pound linebacker. An undersized linebacker, not ideal. Now with Zimmer on board, he's expected, as he should, to be moving back to safety. So his role is going to change drastically, and he'll have to battle for playing time. And here's why. Mike Zimmer doesn't run that 3 safety look like that. Not nearly as much. Maybe what you'll see is you'll see the backup safeties play as sub players. Hey, injuries. Hey, I need a break. A guy just coming in, just want to switch up a look. But Zim is not a guy that's going to run this big nickel and send out the safety to play linebacker. Maybe he'll run big nickel to send out the safety to line up against that tight end or blitz him. But you're not going to see this. And when you think about it in regards to Marist Bell, he's a guy that shows some flashes of, playmaking ability, getting after the passer from time to time. You see the speed and things like that from a linebacker standpoint, but now he's going to go back to safety. And I'm just thinking, well, how is he going to get on the field? Because how is he going to get on the field if politics are being played? Because here's my thinking about the position, Cowboys Nation. Y'all let me know how you feel. I love the safety room. I love the depth. You have the veterans and you got some young guys. And what I would do, I'd open it up for competition. The whole room. Open the entire room up for competition. I'm talking Bell, Wanye, Hooker, Dono. If you want to include Izzy, you can include Izzy in that thing. Open it up. You know why? Dan ain't here no more. Zim values the safety position. Like it is important. His DBs, this is a DB guy by nature. His DBs are important to him. I know we think about 4-3 blitzing, double A gap, mug blitzes and things like that. We think about the Everson Griffins and the Neil Hunters of the worlds. But he's definitely helped safeties. Here's the issue, though, maybe an issue with Marist Bell. He comes in as an undrafted free agent rookie, makes the team, doesn't play a whole lot his rookie year. He's asked to do a bunch of move completely to linebacker, so he didn't practice a bunch at safety last year. Now coming back in, he may be behind the 8 ball at the safety position. And Mike Zimmer kind of requires you to be a little heady up there in regards to the safety spot. So I'm not saying that Bell's not. I'm just saying maybe it could take him a little bit longer to get back into the swing of things. But if it does not, let him compete. Let all these dudes compete. Let them all compete because you need the best of the best back there. And I believe in all these guys, especially with Zimmer. I think Zimmer can coach these boys up and the best will win and the best will be good for the Cowboys out there. But he's public enemy number one when you look at guys who are going to have a different role. Clearly, he's going to go from a completely different position with the coach that knows how to coach these guys up. You down with opening up competition, Cowboys Nation? Are you down with saying, hey, I know we just paid Dono. We just paid Malik. Zimmer's boys. But we just paid them. Are you down to just go ahead and open up an entire safety competition? I am. I 100% am. Are there people, let me ask this though. Are there people that want to keep Bell at linebacker? Maybe that's the thing. Matrice said Malik's getting old. It's funny because I don't even think Malik is 30 yet. I think Malik got here to Dallas. Didn't even play a full season until he got here to Dallas. But we got a very interesting room. I don't know if anybody in that room. How old is Malik Hooker? Let me see. Let's see here. Nope. Malik 28. And he just turned 28. Very interesting room, man. Malik and Dono are 28-ish. And then you got the rest of these guys who are young. So I like the room, man. Move Bell to safety. No linebacker unless it's some kind of passing down. Yeah, I'm not for this linebacker stuff, man. I'm not for this linebacker stuff. Get real linebackers. And from everything we're being told, right, the Cowboys will be prioritizing being bigger in the front seven, including linebacker. Another place that they will be looking to get bigger is on the interior of the defensive line. And one of the players on that interior defensive line last year, or last few years really, was Chauncey Golston. I think Golston got caught up in Quinn's position flex obsession, in my opinion. A little bit of Tyron Crawford and what they wanted him to do, and in and out. But he wasn't as good as Tyron Crawford had been. When he was drafted, one of the very first things I thought about was, man, this is a legitimate left defensive end, a strong side defensive end that could potentially move and take over for DeMarcus Lawrence when the Cowboys are ready to move on. But that never happened. His second year, they told him to bulk up. They want to play him more inside. And he played defensive tackle at a 54% clip. Last year, that went down a little bit, more 50-50 as a guy that played inside and out. But I don't think, and I don't expect Mike Zimmer to look at this guy at 6'5", 260-some pounds and say, oh, yeah, it's my defensive end. I completely expect Zimmer to move him to exclusive edge. And maybe from time to time, NASCAR package, you move him inside. But when you look at how Chauncey plays the game, he is a prototype for a Mike Zimmer defense, right? Physical run defender, can use his length and point of attack edge setting ability to help in that department. Let's also remember, y'all know Zim like them fat boys. Zim is not a guy that looks at undersized defensive tackles and say, yeah, let's work. And he's already got one, and he ain't going nowhere. And I doubt they're going to move Osa to the edge. They really would be in trouble at defensive tackle. Now, I get it. These guys I'm showing on the screen right now are primarily nose tackles. They're one techs. But even if you look at his 3-tech history the last 5 years in Minnesota, he never had a defensive tackle as light as Chauncey Golston, who again goes at about 268, 270 per the team website. The lightest defensive tackle under Mike Zimmer his last 5 seasons with the Vikings was Tom Johnson, who came in at a compact 6'3", 285. So I have a hard time believing Chauncey at 6'5", 268 is just going to be playing a whole lot of snaps at defensive tackle. Maybe some. Maybe you see that defensive tackle percentage go down, like way down, like maybe 20%, right? Because passing down. But at a 54% clip, at a 50% clip, I don't believe it. Plus, if he moves to the outside, the Cowboys do what? They get bigger on the edge. Look, I thought Fowler was a fantastic 6-man type guy, but Fowler didn't go 6'5", 270 damn near. Now you get Chauncey out there who is basically Everson Griffin. That's the size. I'm not saying he's Everson Griffin play, but that's the type of size. Everson Griffin was like 270 plus. So you get bigger. The Cowboys want to get bigger on the front seven. Well, you can do that by moving Chauncey back to defensive end full time. Let him kind of work in and out with a DeMarcus Lawrence to keep DeMarcus Lawrence fresh. And if you go look at Chauncey from a pass rush standpoint, it's not his calling card, but he won at a higher clip than some of the other guys on this team. Now, that could have been mostly at defensive tackle, so things could change. But I'm not saying that Chauncey's going to be some pass rush savant. That's not really his game. But give him a chance to set the edge. Give him a chance to use his physicality to beat some of these mouse in the house type offensive tackles. So for Chauncey, I think his role will be reversed. I think you'll see him go heavy defensive end. Heavy. I'm talking 70, 80% possibly at defensive end, and then they'll slide him in at defensive tackle. Now, this hasn't come out. Zim hasn't even spoken about Chauncey. He did one presser. You ain't going to see Zim out here in these streets. But it just makes sense, right? It just makes sense to move Chauncey Golston out there. And if you do that, you help the edge depth a little bit more because you lost some depth. You lost the Fowlers. You lost Dorrance Armstrong. If you keep Golston inside, I mean, what you're talking about, again, Sam backing up Micah and D-Law, Sam Williams, Fehoko Jr., a couple undrafted guys on the practice squad. Yes, you could go into the draft and draft dudes as well. And they probably will. Maybe they'll take a guy in day 3 of the draft, maybe 3rd round. I highly doubt they'll take a guy in the first 2 rounds. But Okoye, we had this debate. Not really a debate, but we had this discussion about the linebacker spot. Because if you move Micah off of defensive end and move Micah to linebacker, your defensive line takes another hit. Your pass rush gets, I think, considerably worse. I mean, by a mile. You hope and you expect a guy like Sam Williams to then step up. I would have preferred to get a proven guy if I'm going to move Micah back, right? But one thing we didn't say in all of that is if you do move him there, defensive end, I think, bro, it shoots so far up the board as a need. It's disgusting. D-Law's on the final year of his contract, if I'm not mistaken. Who the hell knows with Sam Williams? Look, we can be excited and because Sam's shown some flashes and he looks good. Don't get me wrong, in these flashes and whatnot. But who knows with Sam? Up here between the ears. Who knows with Sam? Is Sam going to be able to do the things that Zim wants him to do down in, down out without getting in a doghouse? Is he going to have that attitude problem? All those things are things that are between the ears. The talent is there. And even if you do think Sam is going to turn into something, your depth is atrocious. It's atrocious now. It'll be extremely atrocious if you move Micah off the ball. So, hell, I'm all for using more Micah Parsons at linebacker. I think that's the best way to use him. Also think he can be an amazing, and he has been an amazing defense end. But my issue has always been, okay, if we do that, how are we supplementing him moving back? And the answer to me is not Sam Williams. He's a part of the answer or the solution, but the answer would have been to go get you a stud in free agency, and he didn't do it. So at the very least, if you move a Chauncey Golston gives you some depth, but again, Chauncey's on a 1-year deal. D-Law's on a 1-year deal. Who the hell knows what the hell's going on with Fehoko? They might not even view Fehoko as anything. And Sam is a nutcase. We don't know what's going on with Sam. Defensive end, I mean, and if y'all remember, we talked about DE being a sneaky need last year due to this exact reason. You got contracts coming up. I didn't foresee them bringing back Fowler or Dorrance Armstrong. I didn't see it. D-Law, I didn't know if maybe they'd move on. There was questions there. A lot of needs on this team is all I'm saying. A lot of needs. All right, let's get to our third guy here. Now we're going to the offensive side of the ball. And this role change is less to do about him actually potentially having a role. He may be without a role in general. Peyton Hendershot. Talk about a fall from grace, man. Peyton Hendershot flashed in 2022, right, as an undrafted rookie. Enough to where he came into training camp in 2023 as a de facto tight end 2 because Schoonmaker was behind the 8 ball. They took Schoonmaker in the second round, so, you know, politics was going to play a little bit into it. But Schoon got hurt, got behind the 8-ball, didn't really show a whole lot. And Hendo, just second tight end. Okay, he's been here before. He's played this role as a tight end 3 in his rookie season. Now he's tight end 2. But he didn't do a damn thing. He didn't do nothing with it. Not in training camp, not in preseason, not in nothing. And the only reason this man probably did not get cut is because John Stevens Jr.'s got hurt. And we'll get to that in a second. But a guy like McEwen was getting more praise than him. JSJ was nipping at his heels until he got hurt. And once he got hurt, he was basically your tight end 3. Tight end 2, really. Think about it. He was your tight end 2 going into week 1. So boom. Peyton Hendershot gets a chance of a lifetime. Because here's why it's a chance of a lifetime. Jake Ferguson wasn't even a made man yet. Jake Ferguson got on the bad side of a lot of y'all after week 1. Not me. I understood. And things happen. I seen enough in year 1 to say that Jake is like that. But he got on a lot of y'all's bad side. You know who else got on your bad side? And mine included? Peyton Hendershot. Peyton Hendershot rolls up the seam, gets an absolute dime delivered to him, a chance to stamp his claim. Touchdown, open and weak. Drops it.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Peyton, we were rooting for you, sir. We were rooting for you. And after that, there was no trust. He lost trust from the staff. He lost trust from Dak Prescott. He probably lost trust from his tight end coach. Because by week 3, Schoonmaker started to get more reps. And then after the Arizona Cardinal game, boom, they put Peyton Hendershot on IR with an injury. Now, he came back later in the year, I think around week 14, and saw roughly 15 or so snaps a game, but never anything significant. Got into the playoffs, and I think he played like a handful of snaps. Only played in 8 games last year. Only has 15 receptions in his 2 years. And maybe the only thing that he has going for him right now is there's a big fat question mark around JSJ, John Stevens Jr., due to the ACL injury. If he does not get clipped with that ACL injury, Peyton Hendershot's not on his team. Because they do the same things, right? They're your receiving type of tight ends, not guys that are blockers. So when I say roll, right? When I say this is in question, it's not that, oh, you know what? Maybe Hendo's tight end 2, tight end 3. He's fighting for his tight end life on this team. And if John Stevens Jr. shows any inkling of what he did in 2023 in training camp and preseason, I think he will likely get that tight end 3 spot. And then, of course, we know with Luke Schoonmaker, the odds of Hendershot, barring injury, seeing tight end 2 is pretty slim to none. However, didn't Luke Schoonmaker just get another surgery? So Hendo might have that going for him, right? He got a guy coming off an ACL injury, and he's got another guy who's my age coming off a surgery. He was already a banged up guy in college. So he got 9 lives, it feels like. 9 lives. Any Hendershot fans in there. And I'm not, look, Hendo's frustrating because you see the traits, and then when he gets on the field, it never translates consistently. There was legitimately people saying, hey, man, I take him over Jake Ferguson. And I'm like, what are we watching? There's no way we're watching the same guy in 2022. And I respect what Hendo did, right? Motion guy, coming out the backfield, getting handoffs and stuff. But from a tight end standpoint, Jake was way more of a complete tight end and a dog than Hendo. But we had the whole Ferguson thing, right? It was. I thought it was going to be a Ferguson thing. Then they took Luke Schoonmaker.
Brother, what's that?
Luke Schoonmaker.
What's that, brother?
We ain't taking no tight end in this draft, man. There's like 3 positions in this draft. I think the Cowboys are completely just off. Not even on their board. I think tight end is one of them. Hendo probably focused. Shouldn't he have been focused last year, man? When they took Luke in the second round, boy, you should have been on. Should have been on it. Oh man. Professor O thinks Hendo's worth the roster spot. Let me ask you this: you think he's worth the roster spot because Hendershot or Schoolmaker just ain't like that, or you think he's worth a roster spot because you think he good? You can say Stevens too. Stevens ain't like that because I think there's 2 different. If he's worth a roster spot because we don't trust the depth, I think that's actually an indictment. If you think he's worth the roster spot because you think he like that, I disagree. I don't think he like that. I would have signed a. If Hendershot to me is my tight end 3 or 2 going into the season, I would have signed a tight end in free agency. I think you can get many tight ends better than him. They should fire us. What do you mean by that? No, he wasn't coming off no injury. Hendershot was healthy in training camp. It was Schoonmaker who was coming off of a quote-unquote injury that got him behind the 8 ball. I agree, Marvin. He got to earn that. I mean, you're not. There's nothing I love about his game. Like not one thing. And if John Stevens Jr. puts on a couple pounds, and it ain't gotta be a lot, right? Like if he gets up to 230-ish around there, I already think he, coming in, he's better receiving type of tight end than Peyton Hendershot. And Luke Schoonmaker and Jake are your tight ends, right? That's just is what it is. That's your tight ends of the future. So can you out receive John Stevens Jr., who was a receiver? I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. So that's my third guy. And this is one that's a little bit different because it's very possible he just won't be on the team at all unless he gets one of those 9 lives where Schoonmaker is coming off his injury, JSJ coming off his injury, and they just like, man, look, you've been around, you know the offense, we'll stick with you. But to me, they shown nothing that they really trust this guy to do anything more than hold a roster spot. This next one, I mean, there's so many layers to this. And again, this could be very similar to the Hendershot situation where you could argue a tight end 3, tight end 4 off the team in general. Like that's kind of where I think this is leaning towards. You can kind of argue that same thing when it comes to Cooper Rush. The Cowboys normally keep 3 quarterbacks. Okay? But the way they do it is not the way it's currently or potentially could be set up. Cooper Rush has been a Cowboys quarterback 2 for the last 3 seasons. But let's be real. It is all but written in stone that the Dallas front office will give Trey Lance every opportunity to show what he has, which kind of makes him the de facto quarterback too. Here's what Stephen Jones said about Trey Lance. Was it like last week or something like that on 105 through the Fan? Quote, he's done nothing but excite us more as he's worked here all of last season and in the offseason. In terms of his work ethic skill level, we're very pleased. He exhibits everything you think of about a top 5, 10 pick would exhibit. Trey exhibits similar type of work ethic to Dak Prescott. Obviously, Trey is a really good athlete, and the most important thing is his arm. He's got a live arm, very strong arm, and he continues to improve with his footwork and his accuracy. So high praise there for Stephen Jones. You really don't expect him to say anything other than that when it comes to a guy they just traded their fourth round pick for, and who was a former top 10 pick. But I do think it tells you they're going to give him plenty of ops, right? Plenty of opportunities and reps to be quarterback 2. I personally think he already is without even going out there and competing for it. Because I'm just saying. And we had talked about this a while back. We're looking at potential cap casualties. We're in a very weird situation at the quarterback position, right? Like I said, there's layers to this that goes beyond the backup fight. But the backup fight is even intriguing. Because you're talking about Cooper Rush, who has the complete trust and love of the staff, 5-1, right? That's the big thing we throw around with Cooper Rush as a starter when he's had to fill in. Knows the offense. He's a good player to have, good quarterback to have on the sideline to help with a young guy to develop. But he's going to cost you almost $3 million as a quarterback 3. No third string quarterback last year counted for $2 million. And the way that the Cowboys have structured their quarterback room under Mike McCarthy is franchise guy, reliable backup, project, essentially, developmental quarterback. And last year, that's how it went. Trey was your developmental guy, but you invested a 4th round pick. He needed a whole year to try to get things going, and now he has it, and he's a former top 10 pick. I find it really hard to believe Trey Lance is coming into training camp as quarterback 3. I find that hard to believe. $5.3 million quarterback 3 with the 4th round pick attached to it. Yeah, I don't believe that. So I think by politics, he's quarterback 2, and that makes Cooper Rush quarterback 3. But that's an expensive QB3, and I just don't know if they're going to do that. And if they do, I mean, would you consider it a waste of resources, or would you say, well, the position is so important? You know, if you got a third string quarterback that's like a Cooper Rush, it's a good luxury to have. Or do you take the cap savings, but fridge is over, use that and get better elsewhere? And the final thing about this quarterback room, again, we talked about this a while ago. As it currently stands, I expect this to change. Every single last one of your quarterbacks on the roster has 1 year left on their deal. I mean, you talk about a plan toxic. I expect this to change, but I just think it's hilarious that you've got an entire quarterback room, a team coming off a 12-5 season, a team coming off of one of their players who finished second in MVP, in their prime, in his first year in a new offense, essentially, did that, and we're like, yeah, man, we may not have a quarterback period on the roster in 2025. Contractually, let me say that. Wild. I could even make the argument for Cooper Rush. You know, a quarterback who, hey, when he's needed to step in, yeah, he's not going to wow you. He's not going to win your games. He's not going to be any of that. You need your defense and your run game to be there, clearly, right? But you could argue, hell, why don't you give him a couple more years? Strange times we are in. Strange times, ladies and gentlemen. Banks. We ain't talking about little banks. We're talking about big banks. What's good with you?
What's going on, Sky? Good morning to you, man.
Good morning, sir.
Look, 2 things I want to tap in on, man. First one, Hendershot, man. You're absolutely right, man. I agree with you with if Hendershot, if John Stevens doesn't get hurt, I absolutely believe Hendershot isn't on this team. You know, when I think about Hendershot, man, I think about him every time I think about Hendershot, I think about him dropping passes in certain moments. Like you say, he dropped that touchdown pass, and if we can go back to 22 when he dropped that Jaguar, I think it was Jacksonville, wasn't it? When he dropped that pass, turned into an interception.
No, that was
the Jacksonville game.
No, that was Tennessee.
What game was that?
Tennessee smacked him.
That's what it was.
They're smacking in his between the numbers, and it turned into a pick, and we're like, Dak Prescott. You know how that go.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I knew a couple passes calls, and I didn't get it confused with the my man.
Noah Brown?
Yeah, I didn't get it confused with the Noah Brown. I just knew it was another interception.
Yeah, you had the right thing. It was just wrong team.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, that's what I think about when I think of him, man. I feel like anybody that wanted Hendershot, man, was probably Simmons for Hoko fans or something, man. They wanted him too. But and then also, man, as far as Trey Lance, man, hey, look, I just want to prepare everybody, and I've been saying it, because I'd be highly surprised if at any point, the off season or during the season, that Dak Prescott gets an extension. I feel like it's already been put out there that Trey Lance is going to be the quarterback next year. This is my opinion.
Next year, as in 2024.
Yeah, no.
Or next year, as in 2025.
Trey Lance will be the quarterback 2025 next year. Yeah. I absolutely believe he's going to be the quarterback.
You don't want to wait until preseason to at least say that?
I'm saying how the Joneses are looking at it right now. That's not what I want.
I would even argue.
I
would even argue they got to wait till preseason. You cannot make that distinction prior to seeing how this guy has developed, man. Like, you have to see him when the bullets are flying out there. That's why I think he's de facto quarterback too, because they can't afford to have him compete because they gave up so much and they're paying him so much. He has to get these reps because he doesn't have a lot. I mean, it's astonishing how little of quarterback he's played in his career of football in general.
Yeah.
So he has to get these reps. So if you were in April and you're like, man, he's our quarterback in 2025, based off what? Like, let's see him play well in the preseason first. And if he does that, then I might be on board with that if Dak doesn't have an extension. If Dak has an extension, then that doesn't. Then Lance could potentially be traded.
Yeah. I'm not saying he is based off play because, like you said, we haven't seen anything. Well, let me rephrase it. The Joneses want him to be the quarterback in 2025. So, in order for that to happen, come preseason, if Trey Lance get out there and with the reps that's taken, like you said, he's the de facto number 2. So he's going to get some reps with some starters, with some of the backup guys, and if he goes out there and plays well, and with the reps that he gets, man, I think we can absolutely, I would say absolutely that Trey Lance could be more so the quarterback in 2025 because that's what they want. You know what I mean?
I don't even think I'm still waiting for that. I can't even say that's what they want. If that's what they wanted, guess what? Trey Lance gets the extension. Think about it. If that's what they wanted, if they wanted to send a real message to Dak Prescott, extend Trey Lance now, so that you can. Because think about this, he's going to be a free agent next year. Let's say you're right? He performs well.
Yeah.
He does great in preseason. Hell, let's say he even plays a game or two because there's an injury. Yeah. He goes into free agency kind of hot now. And trying to get Trey Lance at a discount ain't going to happen no more, right? And they not picking up his 5th-round option. So if they truly want, if that's what they wanted, you extend Trey Lance right now, you send a message to Dak Prescott, and if that's the case, then I think that's something where Dak will be like, I understand what y'all want to do. I am willing to waive my trade clause, potentially, maybe. I don't think he would do that because he can easily just be a free agent and be the highest bidder next year. But if that's how we're looking at it, then we can sit down, and if we can find something, we'll work on it. If not, I'll play the season out and just be going next year. If they wanted to send a real message of this is our guy for the future, I don't think they can make that distinction yet because they don't know what they got in Trey Lance.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and I think they know that too. But that's what that's why I say if he plays well, man, because they don't. The reason why they're not gonna give him an extension now, of course, because like us, and like you say, we got to see more. But if he shows you more, I'm just kind of going off how they're handling the Dak situation.
What is so different about how they're handling the Dak situation than before? I just think we're just getting so caught up in this and we're forgetting this is exactly how they handle every situation. What is different? What has been different? Des Bryant, Dak the first time, DeMarcus Lawrence, Ezekiel Elliott, Zach Martin, Amari Cooper. They literally traded a first-round pick for Amari Cooper and let him hit free agency. What's different?
Yeah, but Scott, it's also how they handle. It's also how they handle the guys when they're done with you and they ready. They're just kind of ready to get rid of the situation.
They re-signed Dez, they re-signed D-Law, they re-signed Zach, they re-signed Zeke, and they re-signed Dak.
You said they didn't sign?
They re-signed all those dudes, and they handled them the same way. I mean, this is just par for the course for me for negotiations. I don't think there's anything different that the front office is doing right now than that, from a negotiation standpoint, contract standpoint, than they've done in the past. The only way that this becomes different is if next year Dak Prescott goes into the free agency without a contract. We got so many months before the start of the season to where that can be. I still believe they're going to get it done because they're not ready to hit quarterback purgatory. And they're not good enough front office to be able to do that and still be a championship organization. I just don't think they have the balls to reset that way. So I think they'll extend them.
Guess we'll see, man. But all right, Scotty, that's all I got.
All right, man. Yeah.
All right.
If Trey's your guy, extend him now. Send a message to Dak Prescott. Because if Trey plays well, you're going to be paying. Look what happened with Baker. Y'all, look what happened with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield went out there, played well, and he got a $100 million contract. If Trey hits free agency, you're not getting Trey for no $20 million a year. You're looking at $40+ million a year. And guess what? Oh, wait. As soon as he get the bag, all that ire that went from 9 to 4 is going to go to 15 now. You want to get ahead of this. If he's your guy, like you say, Banks, hey, this is my guy. This is who I want. Extend him. Extend him now for dirt cheap because you can go to Trey, and that's what they love to do. Hey, man, look at your resume, man. It's low. You ain't got much going on for yourself here. We like you, though. We like the trades. You're doing well. You're working hard. Here's this 3-year extension. We'll pay you $15 million a year. Now, $10 more million than you're getting now. You get this fat signing bonus. Then after about a year or two, we'll go back to the table. $15 million a year for a backup quarterback. You know? Hell, you can also go revisit the damn contract next year if you want. But if you let him hit free agency and he shows something, you're not getting him for less than 40. You're going to pay Baker Mayfield bread for a guy that you liked in preseason and may have played a game or two. That's the way the quarterback market goes. Goodbye to the All-Pro, a preseason or two guy, $40 million. And then you know what's going to happen? We can't build the team because our quarterback. I'm not doing all that. Let's see what he got, in the preseason. And we'll revisit this. Personally, they should have never did it in the first place. That's not that ain't the way to go about it. The quarterback position is you draft it. $513, what it is, what it do. $513, what's up? 513 going once. You might got me on mute, brother. 513 going twice. 513 sold to the chat. Maybe we'll come back to you, 513. We'll see. He hasn't taken significant snaps since 2020. Period, bro. Period. They're not going to do it. Dallas doing the throw the rock, high your hand thing. They're playing both sides of the fence to see what happens. That's fair. That's fair. That's the position you just don't mess around with, in my opinion. Because once you have a guy, it's much easier to me to now then build around the rest of the team. But we are talking about Dallas. We don't do things like normal championship organizations do or should be doing. We just don't. And look, this is not a knock against Trey. Like, I really hope he develops like really well. Look, if you move on from Dak and he shows out, I hope he's the next best thing. But what irks me is that we use excuse, or a lot of y'all fall for the excuse that the Joneses give you. Man, we got to pay. We can't do XYZ because we got to pay. Well, if you're going to move on from your all-pro quarterback because you don't want to pay, which I don't think that's the case, you're going to have to pay for a Trey. Fuck all that. Just go draft a quarterback, man, and try to take advantage of the 4 or 5 years you have on the cheap with that quarterback. Do something you didn't do with the other quarterback you got on the cheap for pennies. That was playing at a high level, 3 to 4 years on his contract. Do that. Not trade a fourth without talking to your coach, by the way. To what? Hey, look at this. There's a message. And I said this when he got traded. You can go back and find it, the receipts on the show. People were like, oh, man, this is going to affect Dak Prescott. I said, if anything, this is going to make him better. Oh, this is what y'all want to do? I bet. Watch this. All pro second MVP break. This dude has been responding to adversity throughout his life. Yes, obviously, we need more success in the playoffs. But if that's the case, then, dude, there's only one good quarterback in this league. We've turned into a society where we can't. What's the expression? You can't see the forest through the trees or something like that. One more 513. We'll try to get you in here. All right, okay. There we go. We got you now. What's up with you?
Hey, man. It's Marcus out in Cincinnati again. Good to talk to you.
Good talk, Marcus. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
I'm good, man.
Good. How's the little one?
Keeping me up, but it's a blessing. I was talking to Twan about that.
For sure. What's the little one's name?
Enzo.
Enzo. Okay.
Yes. Keeping the
Beautiful
Italian
name.
heritage to it, yeah.
Oh, I like that. So I've been doing some mock drafts recently. I've been kind of going crazy on it just because I've been really trying to see what all we got here in this draft and what's going to be available throughout the rounds. And I've just been really thinking, like, I feel like center is where to go for the first round if I was choosing, either a Barton or a JPJ. And then the next 2 rounds, I feel like are very flexible, so to say, with what's available, at least to me. Of course, go running back probably in the 3rd. Then in the 2nd, I'm thinking, like, I would honestly maybe prioritize edge over linebacker at this point with having Kendricks. But having Kendricks, Simone, Overshown, and then, let's be honest, we're not going to keep Micah at defensive end with Zimmer the whole entire time. So, that's 4 solid linebackers that you have already on top of a Bobby Johnson that is depth and we don't even know anything about yet. Now, I'm not saying Bobby Johnson's like, let's not draft somebody because of Bobby Johnson, but
he doesn't exist.
I'm just saying
he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I love the thinking. It's different. We haven't seen too many mocks where the Cowboys are taking the edge in the 2nd round. And like I said, I don't know if you were here at the start of the show. We had this conversation on the round table about Micah playing linebacker. And if Micah's playing linebacker, you could forget about Overshown and Clark being involved in the top 2. If Micah is playing linebacker, I said this at the top, defensive end, which is already low-key a depth need, defensive end now becomes arguably just as much of a blinking red light as your offensive line. No doubt about it. I have to see Sam Williams string together a mature season on and off the field before I'm just putting all my eggs in the Sam Williams basket. Mind you, DeMarcus Lawrence is also on a 1-year deal. So it's already a need for real depth-wise. It becomes a massive need if you move Micah to full-time linebacker, which is why, brother, I wanted to sign a defensive end if that was going to be the case. I would have 100% said here, Danielle Hunter, We will give you your 20 mil, which really is going to be paid out over 2 years, right? Your 20 million. And then we can move on after that if it doesn't work out. And we're moving Micah to linebacker if they wanted to do that. That was the only way, in my opinion, to do it, because your defensive pass rush takes a massive hit when Micah is not rushing the passer full time. A massive hit. Let's just be real.
Yeah. I feel like there's no doubt at this point that we have to either sign or draft some type of edge pass rush. I mean, there's no way we can just go in here thinking that Micah is just going to be our pass rusher, and then we just rely on Micah to pass rush. I mean, there's no way we can do that to him.
That's what Q basically did, in my opinion. It basically was Micah or bust, and when it busted, it was Mrs. Micah's fault. You know, you need to have, and you had more. I think you had a guy like Dante Fowler who could give you more, but he wasn't being asked to do more. You know, he was the 6'7" man off the bench type situation. I want to go look at some DEs though in the free agency, because they do this a lot too, right? After the draft, we'll go sign some guys. Which I don't know how many left, but
who's your top DEs that you would take?
A couple of them, bro. You talking about in the draft or free agency?
Yeah, the draft.
In the draft, Darius Robinson makes the most sense. Let me go pull up my stack here.
Mm-hmm.
Robinson makes the most sense from a Mike Zimmer. If Latu is there, I mean, Latu, bro, it's hard for me to turn away.
That would be amazing.
A huge fan of Jared Verse's game because I think he could play the run really well. I think he's like stamp it prototype type of dude for Mike Zimmer. But so I'm looking in the first, and potentially now Darius Robinson depends. Like, are you looking at him as strong side defensive end or defensive tackle? He said on NFL Network, teams have told me different things. One team views me as an edge, another team views me as a defensive tackle. So you could throw him in there if you want. But if we're talking early in the draft, we're talking round 1. I think Latu and Verse, I don't think they'll be there, but they make a ton of sense. Some people like Marshawn Nealon, Braylon Tri. I mean, there's edges here, but
Nealon.
I don't know. I'm looking for like uber impact in that first round or two. And I look at Latu and Verse, and I think maybe even Robinson could give you that uber impact.
Yeah. Now, I've been looking like, the second and third round, and there's a few that I like in that area, like Trice, Dorius. There was one other one too. I can't really remember at the moment.
So depending on where you put Braswell. Yeah, I was about to say, depending on where you put Chris Braswell, I mean, he could be 2, 3. I think Chop goes in the first round.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's a need though.
For real,
but
I would say center first round or defensive tackle, because say like a Johnny Newton or somebody still on the board, I would probably take Johnny Newton, because we can also
there's
say
only
in
two.
The second round.
Murphy and Newton.
We could get a in like the second or third, we could get a Frazier or a Van Pelt for center.
If Frazier's still there by 56, but if he is, that's fantastic. If they come out this draft and they say, well, we're going to go elsewhere from edge, these are some of the players I believe that are still available. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but Yannick Ngakoue, Carl Lawson, I don't think he got signed anywhere. I'm not going to go Jerry Hughes. He's extremely old.
Oh, yeah, Jerry Hughes.
Shaq Lawson still out there? Interesting. Not a lot of names, though, be honest with you, bro. Not a lot of names. So, Jonathan Ledbetter, boy. Guess who else is available? Bradley and Nye. That's hilarious.
Bradley and
Nye Sanders, man. I remember him in the draft. Yeah, there's not a lot of names. You're looking at maybe Yannick Ngakoue, I think. If I'm going to come out this draft, not drafting defensive end, which very well could happen. You got so many needs, you're not going to get them all in those top 3 picks. Yannick Ngakoue, Carl Lawson makes some sense.
Yeah. I mean, man, honestly, I'm all for trading out the first round if we have the right deal. Man, if we can get like some extra seconds or thirds and fourths, like things like that, combined together, some sort.
I think I'm with you.
Man.
I don't normally like trading out the first, but this year it's like, look, man, who's sitting on the board? It's going to be because a lot of those people sitting on the board is going to be a cluster of second round grades anyway. And if I can still get at the top of the second round and accumulate maybe a third and a fourth round pick, say, give me a second. Let's play a game real quick. Tankathon. And this is what pisses me off. If I was another team that had a general manager that know how to wheel and deal, I'd be like, man, I'm confident I can swindle a team. I'm not confident Stephen Jones can swindle a team. Tankathon NFL. Let's go second round.
Yeah, man. You think too, like with the popularity of this team, if we had the right type of GM, he'd be able to make moves easily.
So let's say, all right, let's say New England doesn't take a quarterback, right? They don't take a quarterback in round one. They either trade back or they just sit there and they take Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know. And they still looking for a quarterback and they see Michael Penix sitting there. They see maybe they want Bo Nix. I don't know. Maybe they see a guy they want. If New England can give me their 2 and 3, because you got to give them that QB tax, right? Like you got to tax their ass. I need 2, I need 3, and I need next year's 2 or something, right? Like you gotta get in that arena and be able to squabble. Not get in that arena, get a call, and I think it was a report where Steven was like, oh yeah, let me get back to you. And you don't even get back to him because you don't even know the players. So if I can get, say, New England's second, third rounder and a pick in 2025, oh yeah. I pull up because now I'm getting 34, I'm getting 56, or 57, or was it 57, 54, whatever we got? Where we at here? 56. So I got 34, 56, 68, 87.
That would be amazing.
I'd roll with that. And I'm getting a pick next year.
Because then we have that like big cluster within the second and third round where we can then be like, okay, we can get our defense attack, we can get our running back, we can get our center.
You need an extra pick,
right there.
Yeah. You need an extra pick to meet the demands of all these needs that you have created by being dormant in the offseason.
Yep. Yeah. Now, where do you value corner at right now? Because I know Bland he's great, in his skill set and everything, but I'm not sure if they see him as a full-time outside corner.
Q did. Q 100% did. It's very possible that Zimmer does because Bland is a smart player, and Zimmer is very like the defensive coordinator for the Eagles, Vic Fangio. They require heady defensive backs, and Bland is a heady defensive back. So I think he can absolutely look at him and say he could play the outside. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's how they're viewing it because they signed Jordan Lewis, and Jordan Lewis right now is your slot corner, and they're likely not bringing back Stephon Gilmore. But corner kind of similar, bro, to defensive end. Yeah, at the top, you got Micah Parsons, D-Law, you look good. Yeah, you got Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, Diggs out the ACL. We'll see what happens. And you got Jay Lou.
Yeah.
But after that, Jay Lou on a 1-year deal. Eric Scott, we have no idea they traded a 5th-round pick for. We don't know what's up with Eric Scott. Nashawn Wright, I don't understand why he's still on this team. Like,
don't even get me started about him.
there's depth issues beyond the top 3. So corner to me is kind of very similar to DE, where maybe it's not a blinking red light, but from a depth standpoint, you could argue you need one of them too. Maybe not for 2024, but beyond.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that worries me because say Diggs is not even close to 100%, or say either one of them gets hurt for a couple of games. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to have Jordan Lewis and Eric Scott as our starting corners?
This is what your front office decided to roll into this offseason with. Let me see here.
And there's a few corners that I see in the mid-rounds that are pretty quality.
Sad.
Penn State corners, Michigan corners. I know there's a Kentucky corner, Andrew Phillips. He looks pretty decent.
Where do I got him in the 3rd, and I didn't watch a whole lot. That's about right where I stop it there. I do wonder, if a Cooper DeJean happens to fall. I know people hate to do this. I'm not trying to stereotype this kid because I think he could be a fantastic corner and maybe use him as a Brian Branch, but a slot corner. I mean, man, he screams Pro Bowl safety under Mike Zimmer to me. Like he just screams the Harrison Smith type.
Yep.
To me,
That's
man.
exactly what I was about to say.
And maybe I'm only saying that because we got Zim, and I'm not saying he can't play corner. I do have a little bit of questions if he can really run with these boys on the outside. Like I'm talking about these boys, right? Like Deron can run with him. Yeah. He got by Metcalf, but we've seen Deron, we've seen Trey. I got to see if DeJean can do that with these boys in the NFL on the boundary. In the slot, I think he could be a fantastic slot. He's physical. He can do the blitz things. He can come up against the run, and I think he can run with some of these slots from a quickness standpoint. But safety, let him use the instincts. Let him look. He likes to blitz these safeties. Let him blitz them. I think he can be a beast under them, like right away.
Oh yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Hey, man, great call.
Right,
got me to kind of touch on the draft. Wednesday, we're actually going to be doing a similar project, a mock draft, and I think I'm going to talk to the guys about doing a trade down one because I do think the Cowboys will likely do that. But we'll do a mock draft. We'll do some of these exercises.
Yeah, man. Also, I'm thinking about starting up my own Cowboys podcast.
There you
do
go.
You have any advice on that?
Get started, brother. Get started. If it's a passion, allow your passion to flow through your work. The rest will come, right? The rest of it is just like anything else. If you have a new job you're doing, a new project you're doing, I would hope you're researching and you're studying how to be, better at said project. But if you have a passion for this project, let that lead you, because if that leads you, it'll take you to the right place, and you'll do it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I am a content creator already. I have a YouTube channel, but I'm a holistic healer. So I talk about like holistic healing and the chakras and meditation, stuff like that.
Okay.
I actually have some meditations on there. If you guys want, I can drop it in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead, man, because sometimes I could be using that.
Yeah, man.
Cowboys send me to positions where I need to meditate, so.
Oh, for sure. All right, brother. Take care.
Man, good stuff. Thank you. Go ahead, drop that in there. Let's go look at Professor O's big board. Shouts out to you, Professor O. He sent that to me a couple days ago. Let's see what you got here. Man, shouts out to y'all. How many players did you? 100? You got your top 100? Look, man. Professor O, Vach, Tuck, Foots, Aisha. Got to throw Aisha in there because she probably stepped about 300 though. Y'all, whew. If you're studying 250, 300 players, please definitely show your work, put your work out there, get it out. Like, don't let this work just go to waste in our community. Excuse me, in our community. Make your guides. I'm on Vach's ass next year. Like, we're gonna try to do a guide together. Like, did a website. I don't know. Do a pod if I don't know, man, but put that out there. That's a lot of work that should be put out there. Share. Obviously, you're sharing your stack here, and because that's not easy. I told you I got a hub of about, I think it's over 300 some players now. I ain't watch all 300, but as I go, I'm up to a good bit. But there's no way I'm going to watch 300 players this year. Maybe next year I'll get to like 2 something, but that's a lot of work, man. And I respect the hell out of y'all, for real. So, Professor O, in your stack, what would you consider the most interesting part of your stack? And as you kind of answer that, let's go into the chat here. Aaron said DeJean purposely didn't run agility drills. Am I tripping to like want DeJean at safety with Zimmer? I mean, that's true too, Twan. I didn't think about that. He says, got to have personality for it as well. He says, Sky, got to appreciate you, Twan. Speaking about like advice for being a content creator, that is true. I mean, if you're looking to galvanize an audience, I do think you have to have some entertaining qualities, to be honest. Miss Jackie, shouts out to you, said, if we can't stop the run, this team has no chance. And by us not resigning Hankins, Mozzie being undersized, hopefully he goes back to being him. What are we doing here? Wishing and hoping. Yeah. I think they'll get bigger. Miss Jackie. I think they'll maybe sign somebody after the draft. Maybe they'll draft somebody, but will that be enough? You now hope that Zimmer and Gunther can scheme it up to help out these guys. Professor O, did he answer his question? Because, I mean, this is top 100. I can look at this in depthly, but I kind of want to go right to where he think is the most interesting thing about his stack. And we can kind of talk about it a little bit. We in overtime. If you want to call in, you can. We'll take a couple more. I'll get some of these super chats. Shouts out to somebody who became a member. I apologize to you. JT Wolf, thank you, man. Became a Pro Bowl member to the team. So the YouTube, Marcus, is Sacred Light Healing and Wellness, Cowboys Nation. If you need some healing and wellness, if the Cowboys are driving you crazy and you don't want to do the other thing, I ain't talking about like something drastic. I'm talking about like, go get some healing and wellness over at Marcus's channel here, Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. Troy Franklin, wide receiver 18. Hey, little dude. That is interesting, Ron. That is interesting. I'm not a huge Troy Franklin guy, and this is a deep wide receiver class. Let me see. Let me see if I can find some interest. Let me see if I can blow this up. It's a little tough because. Whoa. All right, that was weird. All right, let me see if I can blow this up this way. Yeah, that was strange. All right, so that didn't work. Let me see. Boom. Hold tight with me. I feel like talking to y'all a little bit, man, because I will not be on tomorrow. I'll be back Wednesday with Vach and Foots. I think this works. All right, here we go. You can see it a little bit, but I gotta massage this real quick. Nah, you can't see it. Why is it way over here? I know why. There we go. Bada bing. So here's a little bit of his stack. Let me see here. Professor O, if you ain't working, I would like for you to call in. We can talk about your stack, bro. Here you go. So the question, Professor O, was what is the most interesting thing about your stack? So we can discuss it a little bit, Drake May at 10. Newton. Joe Aldat too is interesting. Let's see here. Junior Colson 38. Rakenstraw 39. I think this is looking about right for a lot of boards I've seen. We'll take a call and then we'll see what Professor O talking about. What's up, Trills?
What's good with it, big dog?
What's happening?
I was calling in. I got a few draft questions. It's draft season.
Yep, that's what we kind of on right now. We talking about my boy Professor O's board here.
Okay. What you think about drafting Malachi Corley and putting him at running back?
Let's go. What we talking about, Trills? I brought that up. I forget what show it was, but I thought it was interesting that Corley was the only wide receiver brought in here, and it was like 8 running backs brought in here. And I was like, hey, maybe they looking at Corley as a running back. I look at Corley as a guy that can do some running back things. He got the size, 5'11", like, what is he, 15 or something like that, somewhere around there. Listen, I know he had fantastic wide receiver film in the sense of playmaking ability, but if you go look at how something around like 50-something, 60% of his targets were all screens or behind the line of scrimmage.
To me, he remind me of the running back that used to play for Green Bay.
Ty Montgomery? Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, yeah, he remind me of Aaron Jones. I feel like they put him at the wrong position at their school because he probably was better at wide receiver than anybody else. Also,
he gets the Debo comp.
A Debo comp?
Yeah, that's the comp he gets, man. He gets the Debo comp.
I Leggett more of a Debo than me. What about the
you can't put Leggett in the backfield, bro. Leggett like 6'2", 220.
I don't know, bro. I think you can, bro. What about the BYU tackle? You think he gonna slip to the third or the second?
Kingsley?
Yeah.
And Kingsley might be your first round pick. Maybe second, but not the third, no.
You say you think he gonna be a first round pick?
Very possible. If the Cowboys trade back and they stay in the first, it's very possible he could be a pick. Just saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. But how the kid doing, man? How you doing?
He good, man. Just, newborn things. He getting used to us like we getting used to him.
That's what's up. All right, man. Enjoy the show, man.
Appreciate the trails. That's a good. That's a good point, Twan. Like, he probably don't want to come into the league and play running back because the money is not there. You're right about that, and I think these kids do think about that. But maybe if you had a creative guy, like if we had a Ben Johnson, Mike McDaniels, Kyle Shanahan, hell, I'll take the cat in Cincy. He ain't even that crazy creative, but Bobby Slowick. The Ravens offensive, it has some creativity to it. Like if we had that, then maybe you could say Malachi Corley more wide receiver than running back, or running back wide receiver, like hybrid. But maybe it's also me just like, man, I think he could be a fantastic running back. Man. I think he could be a home run hitting, physical, explosive kind of. I think a souped up Pacheco. I think he runs with that type of anger and variety. Like he's just ferocious in how he runs, and he doesn't have his palette isn't there for me from a receiving standpoint on film. Now, if you go down to look at some of the Senior Bowl stuff, maybe you could say, oh yeah, 101s, but man, 101s is tough to really be like, hey, yeah, he can do X, Y, Z. On game film, he wasn't doing a whole lot. And from a contested catch aspect, and we broke him down. Damn, that's not his game, right? Get the ball to him now. Let him get some yak. Let him get some rack. Corley fun though, man. Corley fun as hell. I agree. I think Keon Coleman would be, right now, wide receiver. The wide receiver 2 you need. Physical presence, strong, 50-50. I think he'd be everything you wanted Gallup to be the last 3 years, but he wasn't. Now, could he get the offense right away to be that super instant impact? Maybe it'll take some time, but regardless, you need that wide receiver 2 for the future. Keon Coleman would be, I think, second round. If he's there, you have conversation. Man, good stuff today. I knew eventually, this is draft week, we were going to, talk draft, but I did want to, prior to that, kind of take this, like I said, a pause. That's all it really was, and talk about some of these roles that could be different for the Cowboys, some of these Cowboys players. And we talked about, let's run it through, man. We talked about Cooper Rush potentially being demoted to QB3, or not even on his team, because Trey Lance right now to me is de facto QB2. We talked about Peyton Hendershot, same thing. You could argue right now he's at best tight end 3. But if John Stevens Jr. comes back and he picks up where he left off, he's likely off this team or on the practice squad or whatever. But we know that Schoonmaker's your tight end 2. And we know who the dog is at tight end 1. Freaky Ferg. We talked about Chauncey Golston, who has kind of been caught in the mix of this. Hey man, you gotta have diversity in your game, and you need to be versatile and things like that. But I think with Zimmer here, he's going to be primarily a defensive end. And then finally, the one that's the most obvious move here is Marist Bell is going to go back to safety because Zimmer don't play that type of shit at linebacker. Paul Gunther and Zimmer are not coming in here to play a 205-pound safety at linebacker. Shouts out to my bro, Foots the King in the building. We was kind of not rehearsing, I shouldn't use that word, but we were running sound tests yesterday for the show. I'm telling you, man, we got some special stuff lined up for you. I promise you this, and I put together some, in my opinion, some quality draft shows. I love doing draft production. This one's going to be our best one yet, man. It'll be our best one yet. You can legitimately tune in to what we're going to do on Thursday and get what you see on the big networks, but with our spin, with our flavor, right? And they put in just as much work, in my opinion. And I say they, I'm talking about Foots and I'm talking about Vosh. These are 2 draft analysts that have watched over 200 prospects. So if you want to add a TV on, my recommendation is get TV on, yeah, man. But mute it, rock out with us. And there's going to be a lot of people. Shouts out to everybody that's going to be covering the draft. But come on through. Let me, let's go to the Super Chats.
Super chat.
Saw one earlier from AA Ron. Let me see. Yep. Appreciate you, AA Ron. He dropped 5 and said, when a team like the Cowboys telegraph their needs or picks, I feel that's when teams try to jump ahead of them, not trade with them. In a way, though, AA Ron, I mean, I don't know if you're wrong here because we've seen it with last year with Dalton Kincaid. Clearly, the Cowboys were obviously eyeing a tight end because they took one in the 2nd round. I don't know if Kincaid was a guy. Thank God it didn't do it. I don't think you needed to do that. Jake Ferguson, to me, I think is better, but you didn't need it. I think a lot of teams, their needs, right? Like you understand what a team needs. These GMs understand what a team needs, but you have to understand that the other team, also may need something that they say, hey, we can trade with the Cowboys to get that, right? Or we can maybe trade back if the Cowboys want to trade up. So you can say that about every team, in my opinion. It takes 2 to tango for sure, but my confidence isn't because the fact that my confidence in them getting a good haul or trading back isn't the fact that teams may know what you need. It's the fact that the Cowboys just aren't good in that arena. They've trade during draft day, but can they swindle somebody? That's what I'm looking for. I want the Cowboys to swindle somebody. I want the Cowboys to trade back to 31 and they pick up a 2nd and a 3rd or a 2nd and a 4th, a 3 and a 4. I always came away from the Travis Frederick trade like, thank you, we got Travis. All you got was a 3? You moved back that far. I think it was from 17 to 31 and you just got a 3. Okay. Appreciate you, Mark. He said, by the way, he said the Roundtable Show Friday was fire, bro. When I tell you that show, and I should have made some clips. Man. But the show on Friday night, I said this before. I think it was the best. I think it was the best one that we've done ever. It went the longest. It had good debates. Obviously, we always have fun and make it entertaining for y'all. It was one of them shows where like you mark this and you package it, you send it to people and you say, get behind these boys. And we've talked about doing, it's so funny because after seeing the draft show do the draft 101 in live in person, and let me talk to y'all about it real quick. I just want to see how y'all would feel about it. Like, would y'all come out? I don't know if y'all saw this, but .com and 105.3 they were at the Star and they had people come out. Me personally, with my promotion background, Koye's promotion background, Foots' DJ musical background, the shows that we all do, we're all comfortable in front of people. We've been talking about this for like a year, trying to do an event where maybe we get a hotel ballroom or some place like this, and we do a live show like 85 South, like the Joe Budden podcast, and we're live and we're doing the show together, asking or answering questions to you guys, but just kicking it, but also talking ball and other things, not just ball. We want to do that so bad. We're really putting these things in motion. We're already looking at a place. Just wonder if y'all gonna come out for that. We get a round table live in person, and not at a sports bar, nothing like that. I'm talking about at a place. You got the stage, we got some music, we got y'all, and we just have a man. I've been trying to do this for like a year or so, straight up. But we kind of got extra motivation, and me and Law gonna look at some places, or a place in particular. Ain't that far from here, so we do that. We promote it right. Get Foots and Okoye fly down here. Whew, I think it'd be dope. Somebody said do it in Philly. So the idea would be do it here in Dallas because the Cowboys, right? Maybe a few times, get some momentum. Because I understand. I've been in the promotion game. I've been in an event game for a long time. Yeah. Now all y'all know my backstory. I get it. The first time or two or three, get a few and then more and more and more. Get to a point where you're in demand. And now we can go to Philly. Now we can go to DMV. We can go to California. Wherever, Cowboy fans are at. New Orleans. But the first few times do it down here, man. I think it could be something special, man. I think it could be something special. That's what I'm saying, Rolo. We would promote it way ahead of time. And for those who would fly for something like this, oh man, I'm ready to do it. Hey, Foots, let's do this, man. Let's do this. Good stuff today. Appreciate y'all coming through. I know it's draft week, and we did some draft talk after the meat potatoes of the show, but I appreciate y'all sticking around for that, where we kind of took a bit of a pause. But we're picking it back up Wednesday with our first and only our mock draft 1 point only. Me watching Foots. I think we're gonna do it live, man. We're gonna do a live mock draft, have some fun with it, and then Thursday, man. Thursday we're gonna hear that. I'm ready. Fired up and I'm ready, man. With that said, hey, all good, Professor O. No biggie, brother. No biggie. Maybe we'll do it on Wednesday. Maybe get you called in Wednesday. And we'll see. Maybe we'll do call-in Thursday too, man. I just know Thursday's gonna be so fire. Make sure y'all tune in. With that said, I'm gonna press this button though.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Yes, Chris. Wednesday morning, Foots. That's a good question because Foots, the mornings. Let me make sure I confirm that. But all expectations, I'm gonna be here Wednesday morning. Watch be here Wednesday morning. We're gonna do a mock draft. So we're good for that, Chris. We're good for that. The little one saying, "Daddy, get your ass over here, Twan." I love y'all. We out of here. Peace. Lad McConkey's your Dalton Kincaid. Nah, I can get with Lad. Lad's my guy.
Squad!